My name is Kerrie, and my goal is to inspire healing and meaning in all areas of life. In this podcast, we will dive deep into conversations. From heartbreak to freedom, we will explore different self-care modalities, learn to be the best expressions of ourselves, and to live with purpose. I'm here to offer my personal insights and to share my story in hopes that it will guide you on your path. This is Heal with Care, a journey of self-discovery. I woke up with a dry throat, confused and caught off guard. I hadn't been sick in years. I had been prioritizing my health, carving out time for myself, doing all the right things. But then, life happened. Everything started moving faster than I could keep up with. I started to neglect my health and my body kept score. By the time I was aware and started to notice the signs, it was too late. I was already being forced to slow down against my will. There was still so much I wanted to do, so much I hoped to accomplish, but my body just wasn't on the same page with me. This is exactly why it's so important to take care of your health and well-being before your body starts sending signals that it needs rest. So, what happened? The time had finally come. I was ready to fully step out into the world and embrace my path as an energy healer. But how was I going to let people know that I was available to serve? I knew I had to start putting myself out there. So I signed up for the Psychic and Wellness fairs in 2 towns. This was my first time stepping into the public eye, and I wasn't entirely sure what to expect or how it would all unfold. What I did know was that I had years of experience in graphic design, event planning, marketing, and more. So I leaned into what I already knew, coordinating with the event organizer, building my website, setting up my booking system, designing signage and brochures, and the list goes on. It felt like I was planning a corporate event, only this time it was much more special. It was for me. As a budding spiritual entrepreneur, doing everything on my own has been a lot of work, but it's also an investment in my future. I've been wearing every hat imaginable, handling every part of my business from every angle. I found myself working day and night, constantly thinking ahead to make sure everything would run smoothly the day of. Because I'm someone who tends to think of everything, and with not much help to run things, I became deeply invested in my work. It all had to get done, so I kept pushing through, even when what I really needed was to pause and to take a break. Self-care has always been one of the most important things to me. So why was I suddenly falling short in taking care of myself? The truth is, I'm only human, and life naturally comes with ebbs and flows. At this stage, there was so much happening. My mind was filled with ideas and a growing list of things I knew I had to get done. But with so much on my plate, I found myself setting less and less time aside for me, while carrying all the weight of everything else on my own. I am just one person, and there's only so much one person can do before burning out. When I look back at my past corporate jobs, I noticed a real difference between who I was then and who I am now. I remember that at the end of the day, once I shut down my computer, I also shut everything else off work-related. I had clear boundaries. Once work was done, it was done. I wouldn't think about it again until the next day. I'd spend time with my family, enjoy my hobbies, and actually relax. But now, I'm totally burning the candle at both ends. So where do I draw the line for myself? And that's the tricky part. When you're deeply connected to your work and passionate about what you're creating, it can be hard to take a step back. I think this first year is filled with so many firsts, and maybe after going through it once, the second time around will feel a little easier. What I plan to do moving forward is recognize that I'm human. I only have so much energy and capacity. I need to prioritize what truly supports my self-care and intentionally set aside that time. Every now and then, I catch myself slipping into this constant doing and creating. I get excited and I feel like I'm on a roll. And while that energy is amazing, I still need to carve out time for me so that I can rest, recharge, and enjoy the hobbies that I enjoy doing so that I can return to my work with so much more balance. Because I am so passionate about what I'm doing, I can really get sucked into it and forget that time even exists. I needed to find a hobby to break me out of that habit. So I recently decided to join my local gym to get out of the house since my home is also considered my workplace. I'm also thinking of finding a separate space to do creative work, just to give myself mental and physical separation. This, for me, is a learning process, and I'm still trying to figure it out. What I need to sustain both my passions as well as my well being without actually getting too caught up in all of it. Leading up to the burnout, I was giving it my all. On top of that, I was feeling anxious and stressed about the event. It was my first time doing this kind of thing, and I had never offered in person sessions in front of people before. To make things even harder, my senior dog had been having a rough week. She wasn't feeling well, and I spent several sleepless nights caring for her. The lack of rest took a toll, and my immune system started to dip. By the time I got to the venue, I barely had a chance to eat. Not that I even had much of an appetite, anyways. And the entire day was filled with back to back conversations, and with no one around to watch my booth, it definitely wasn't easy. And that's the reality of doing all of this solo and on your own. Moving forward, maybe it'll get easier. Maybe I'll carve out time for lunch, put up a little be right back sign and take a breather, or ask a friend to sit in, or eventually hire someone to support me. After the event wrapped up, I woke up with a sore throat, and things quickly went downhill from there. Easter was just around the corner, it was a week away, and we had a long drive ahead of us to meet with family. I wasn't sure I was going to make it, but I did my best to give myself all the rest I needed that week to recover. I noticed that my body didn't bounce back the way that it used to, and it took so much longer to recover now. I knew this burnout was a mix of stress, a lack of sleep, and the anxiety about the unknown. So now that the events were over, I finally blocked off my week and allowed my body to enjoy an Epsom salt bath, something I'd been craving for a while but never made the time to do it. I also started eating properly again so I can feel more energized. So, how can I prevent this from happening again? What I've decided to try and do is manage my time more intentionally. I want to carve out moments in the morning, afternoon, and evening to slow down and create space for myself, especially if it's during a busy time. It's probably even a good idea to actually schedule these self-care breaks and not just hope that they will happen. I also need to remind myself to pause, check in, know my priorities, and be okay if not everything gets done. I've realized that I can be very hard on myself. And after all that stress, I didn't even end up needing half the things that I created. It felt like I made extra work for myself just for the sake of being prepared. But I get it. I'm trying different things to see what works. And not everything will go exactly the way that I imagined, and that's okay. I'll just pivot and adjust as I go. Stress and burnout is real, and our bodies will always find a way to let us know when enough is enough. We're not superhuman. We're not machines. We're not meant to be on all the time. Life will ebb and flow. Sometimes we'll have slower periods in our life, and other times it'll feel like it's moving at lightning speed. But through it all, we must learn to find balance. For me, the signs always comes first as like an intuitive hit. I can hear the words, take a break, slow down, take a long Epsom salt bath. But when I ignore those gentle nudges, the message gets louder until my body steps in and forces me to rest, which is equivalent to me getting sick. I've learned that pushing through doesn't make me any stronger. It just delays the inevitable. It drains my energy and I just end up physically ill. So let this be a reminder. Be mindful of how you're spending your time. Make space for yourself because you and your body matters. Your health and well-being are the foundations of everything you do. When you take care of yourself first, you give yourself the energy to show up fully in a way that's both healthy and sustainable. When you cut yourself short, burnout can creep in. So take a moment and ask yourself, how do you want to show up for yourself? Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you found this episode insightful. If you feel called to, please share this podcast, subscribe to it, and leave a rating and review. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can email me at healwithcare@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram at healwithcare. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.